Sure, here's a 1,600-word article about the 1993 Oldsmobile Achieva, written in a narrative style suitable for a YouTube script. It's crafted to flow naturally without headings, ideal for a video voiceover or presentation. In the early 1990s, Oldsmobile was a brand standing at the crossroads of tradition and innovation. Once a symbol of American luxury and engineering, the brand was facing growing competition from both domestic and international automakers. The 1993 Oldsmobile Achieva stood as part of the company's effort to re-establish its identity and appeal to a younger, more budget-conscious market. It was designed to be a compact, yet comfortable and capable vehicle, offering a balance of performance, efficiency, and style during a time when the compact car segment was becoming increasingly crowded and competitive. The Achieva replaced the Oldsmobile Cutlass Calais and rode on GM's N-body platform, which it shared with the Pontiac Grand Am and Buick Skylark. While the platform itself wasn't revolutionary, Oldsmobile worked hard to give the Achieva a unique identity, especially in terms of ride comfort and a slightly more mature appearance. It had a clean, aerodynamic design with soft curves and a sleek profile that tried to walk the line between sportiness and sophistication. It wasn't flashy, but it wasn't bland either. It was exactly what many buyers in that era were looking for, something that wouldn't stand out too much but still carried a respectable presence. Under the hood, the 1993 Achieva came with several engine options, providing a variety of choices depending on the trim level and the buyer's preference. The base model came with a 2.3-liter inline-4 engine known as the Quad OHC. It produced around 120 horsepower, which was decent for a car of its size and class at the time. There was also a high-output version of the Quad 4 engine that pushed closer to 180 horsepower in the SC and SCX performance trims. This made the SCX in particular a surprisingly potent little car, capable of some spirited driving, and it even caught the attention of driving enthusiasts. With a 5-speed manual transmission, the SCX could actually be fun behind the wheel, something not often said about compact sedans in the early 90s. Perhaps more interesting than the engine itself was the Achieva's suspension setup. The SCX variant, for example, came with a specially tuned sport suspension, beefier sway bars, and performance tires that helped the car handle corners with surprising precision. The ride was firm, but not punishing, and the steering was responsive enough to make it feel nimble. For those who didn't need all that performance, the standard trim still offered a soft, compliant ride that made the car feel more upscale than some of its competitors. Oldsmobile was clearly trying to position the Achieva as a cut above the typical compact sedan, offering more comfort and refinement without breaking the bank. Inside the cabin, the 1993 Achieva offered a simple yet functional interior. Materials were a mix of soft-touch plastics and cloth upholstery, with leather available on higher trims. The dashboard layout was straightforward, with large, easy-to-read gauges and a center console that grouped most controls within easy reach. It had a very early 90s GM feel, a bit boxy in places but well thought out. Air conditioning, power windows, and a decent stereo system were all available, and higher trims included features like a digital instrument cluster and keyless entry, which were relatively advanced at the time. One thing Oldsmobile did particularly well with the Achieva was seating. The front seats were wide and supportive, and there was decent legroom even for taller drivers. In the back, space was more limited, as you'd expect from a compact sedan, but still usable for short trips or smaller passengers. The Achieva was also offered as both a 2-door coupe and a 4-door sedan, giving buyers some flexibility depending on their needs and preferences. The coupe version had a slightly sportier look, while the sedan leaned more toward the practical side of things. When it came to safety, the 1993 Oldsmobile Achieva came with the basics expected for the time. Dual airbags were still not yet standard across the industry, but anti-lock brakes were available, and the structure of the car was solid enough to provide decent crash protection. Like most cars of its era, it wasn't packed with today's electronic driver aids, but for the early 90s, it held its own reasonably well in crash tests and safety assessments. Fuel economy was another area where the Achieva performed adequately. Depending on the engine and transmission combination, you could expect anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per gallon, which was competitive for a compact car in 1993. The Quad 4 engine, especially in its base form, was efficient without sacrificing too much performance. The higher output versions drank a bit more fuel, but they still remained within acceptable limits for performance-oriented trims of the time. What's particularly interesting about the 1993 Achieva today is how it represents a transitional period in American car design and marketing. Oldsmobile was attempting to modernize, to shed its image as a brand for retirees and appeal to younger buyers. The Achieva wasn't just a new car, it was part of a rebranding effort, a signal that Oldsmobile could build a small car that was both practical and fun, affordable and well-equipped. It may not have been the most exciting car on the road, but it was dependable, easy to maintain, and offered good value for the money. Over the years, the Achieva has mostly faded into the background. It didn't achieve classic status, and it wasn't built in massive numbers compared to other GM models of the time. However, for those who owned one, it often left a positive impression. It was the kind of car that quietly did its job day in and day out, not flashy, not loud, but reliable and comfortable. Some drivers appreciated the uniqueness of the SCX model, which today is something of a hidden gem among early 90s performance compacts. Its rarity and surprisingly capable chassis make it a curiosity in the collector scene, though it remains under the radar for most. Mechanically, the Achieva was relatively straightforward. The quad-4 engine had a reputation for being robust, though it wasn't without its issues. Early versions of the engine were known for harshness and noise, though GM worked over the years to refine it. Some owners reported problems with head gaskets and timing chains, especially on high-mileage examples. Regular maintenance was key, and those who kept up with oil changes and cooling system checks generally found the engine to be long-lasting. Transmission options included both a 5-speed manual and a 3 or 4-speed automatic, depending on the trim. The manual, in particular, gave the car a sportier feel and made the most of the engine's power band. Today, the 1993 Oldsmobile Achieva lives on mostly in the memories of those who drove or owned one. It's not a car that you see often on the roads anymore, and that makes spotting one feel like discovering a piece of forgotten automotive history. In the grand story of General Motors and American car design, the Achieva may be a footnote, but it's a meaningful one. It speaks to a time when American automakers were grappling with change, trying to find new identities while competing with increasingly sophisticated imports from Japan and Europe. For enthusiasts, especially those who grew up in the 90s, the Achieva offers a sense of nostalgia. It was the kind of car you might have learned to drive in, taken to high school, or used for road trips across the state. It wasn't luxurious, but it was comfortable. It wasn't a rocket, but it was quick enough to be fun. It didn't scream for attention, but it had a quiet confidence that made it a trustworthy companion on the road. And for a brand like Oldsmobile, that meant something. It showed they could still build a car that mattered. In the end, the 1993 Oldsmobile Achieva isn't just a car, it's a time capsule. It reflects the tastes, priorities, and challenges of its era, and for those who remember it, it brings back a sense of what driving in the early 90s felt like. It may not be the most collectible vehicle out there, but it has its place in automotive history. Whether you're rediscovering it through old brochures, a Craigslist ad, or a dusty survivor in someone's garage, the Achieva deserves a little respect for what it was, and what it tried to be. Let me know if you want this article adjusted for a video voiceover, broken into segments, or matched with visuals or script cues.